Hello, everybody. This is Badass Show, a talk show with no holds barred, where I interview badass entrepreneurs from across the globe. And here we are again on Tuesday. It's a sunny, amazing day in Portugal. I'm streaming from here, and now we are all living this online lives. And before we start and I introduce you to my today's guest, I want to tell you that you should definitely join the conference called Future of Wellness. Go to futureofwellness.online. It's going to happen on the 13th and 14th of November, and you definitely don't want to miss that. There will be a lot of amazing entrepreneurs from all over the world, like Deepak Chopra, big names. You definitely don't want to miss that. And today I want to introduce you to my special guest. It's Simon Dunlop, serial entrepreneur and co-founder of Instrumatic. And we're going to have a raw and real conversation with him today. Let me add him to the stream. Hi, Simon.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Victoria, I'm good, thank you. You're in Portugal. I'm sitting in Cyprus at the moment.
That's amazing. How is the weather there?
The weather in Cyprus is always hot.
Or even in winter?
Well, I haven't been here in winter yet, so we'll see. But I'm here for. I think that one of your themes is digital nomads.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm living the life of the digital nomad at the moment, and I'm spending a couple of months in the year in Cyprus.
How do you like the life of the digital nomad?
Well, it has pluses and minuses, and I think you need to have some rules for yourself in order to make it a successful adventure.
Yeah. Like what? Yeah. What are your rules?
Oh, and what are my rules for being a digital nomad? Well, one of them is that you need good Wi-Fi wherever you are. You need to be, I think, like very honest with yourself. Well, I think you need to be honest with yourself anyway, but I think to be a true digital nomad, you've got to be like brutally honest with yourself and make sure that you are living a life which is or in an environment which is actually sort of good for you and healthy for you, and you're achieving the things you want to achieve, rather than fitting yourself into a format which is not perhaps the most natural for you. And so I think that there's some romance attached to the idea of being a digital nomad, but you need to set up some rules. Another one is like, how you find, I guess when you arrive in a new place, you need to find your tribe. And that's something which is not always easy, right? So you have to try and find people so in Cyprus, I have family here. My parents actually live in Cyprus. But it's something that I think about, which is how do you find your tribe? How do you find people that can become new friends, new work partners, people that can challenge you intellectually, and at the same time kind of unlock the local culture and all the secrets of the place that you're staying in.
Right. It's not always easy, especially if you're an introvert and you're not always easy going with new people. I think it can be a little bit lonely. But anyway, I know that there are a lot of meetups and all over Europe for digital nomads, all over the world. So I guess you just can easily do that. But let's talk about you and what's your story? What are your current projects?
Yeah, so for a number of years now, I've been building startups. Originally, that was a number of years. I guess that's already 20 years now. So 20 years I've been an entrepreneur.
Quite a long run.
Yeah, that's quite a long ride, exactly. And originally that was in the offline world in bricks and mortar. With a CPG business, which was a snack food business, and then more recently in digital worlds with online businesses or technology businesses around media, culture, and technology with Bookmates, with Zvuk, which was a Russian music streaming service, which recently was sold to Sberbank. And more recently with something called Instrumatic, which was an idea that we picked up while we were building with my partners while we were building Swoog, which is a voice marketing business where we use artificial intelligence, machine learning to turn advertising and marketing into a two-way conversation between people and brands. And that's a really interesting project where I'm spending a lot more of my time and devoting a lot more of my sort of spare brain cycles to. And it's a good one because it gets at the moment the whole world is getting very familiar with using voice and conversation as a way to interact with devices. I think I was reading a statistic just yesterday which was a Google statistic, that 27% of the whole world audience that uses mobile is now using voice search. And if we think about how we converse or how we communicate without computers, conversation is the way that we do it. It's the most natural way for us to get an idea across and to create a link with other people. And until very recently, technology hasn't been able to recreate that experience online. But now technology has sort of taken away all of the friction and all of the barriers to being able to do that. And so there's no reason why we can't have a more meaningful conversation with a machine.
Mm-hmm. And about that, I have a question. So
Sure.
now we're all witnessing a big shift in the world when people and minorities finding their voice, and people going and they're just showing what they want. They're protesting. We all know what's going on in America, and is there any psychological aspect that you're using when you are developing products? Like you have to understand how people how to connect people and machines, or it's just pure logical steps there.
Well, I mean, we're talking about machines, so it comes down to it's at the bottom. There's logic, but on top of that, we build nuance. And actually now, I mean, if you think about, so we've launched our business recently in India, and in India there are 120 languages and dialects. And even once you've covered the bases with English and Hindi and Tamil, and then it goes on and on and on. And these are very distinct and different languages. So as a machine gets smarter and becomes more aware of what languages are being spoken,
which people makes them smarter, right?
Yeah, people make them smarter, and as they get smarter, they become. I think there's this whole era of, we're now entering an era of nuance and sensitivity, and where a machine can understand what you're saying, what dialect you're speaking in, what might your intents be, and so intent is a very important thing when you're trying to understand what somebody is saying, because if somebody is saying, a simple yes or no in answer to a question, there can be 50 different varieties of yes and 50 different varieties of no, and those can make an interaction smarter. So I can say, no, not now. I'm busy. Don't bother me. Or I never want to hear from. I never want to have a conversation with you again. So there are different different degrees of understanding, and I think machines are now we're now arriving at a point where machines are much better at understanding the nuances and the difference between dialect, ethnicity, and intent analysis, and that creates a level of intelligence that we didn't have previously, and therefore removes friction and enables people to have a more meaningful conversation and communication with a machine.
Who's the most, who works on that the most technically? UX UI designers or developers, or all together?
Yeah, I mean, in our company, it's a mix of developers and quant guys that are building the algorithms and training up the machines and the networks to make understanding better. But there's some magic going on, and we're not the only people working in the sector. And it feels like there are a lot of smart people working on natural language programming to make some real breakthroughs now, and to enable the building blocks to already be in place so that you can build some really interesting new applications and businesses on top of that.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from my co-founder, Stuart Rogers, and I will show it on the screen. So voice is great for private settings, such as in your house, but do you think it is as relevant in public places where you may not want to say out loud the answers to the questions being asked?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. But I mean, often, equally, you're outdoors, you have your headphones on, you're listening to music, or you don't have a screen in front of you. And you can say things into a microphone that maybe people around you aren't going to hear. So I think that there's always a sensitivity issue. But I think that one of the things that I really believe is driving this is that screens are a real intrusion. So every time if you want to find something out, you want to go to Google, you want to check something, to have to take something out of your pocket, to open it, to go through several steps, to tap, to swipe, that's a really intrusive behavior. And you just have to look around you the next time you're in a cafe or walking on the street to see the number of people with a phone in front of them and heads down, and that's not a natural human behavior. And that's I find that intrusive, and I think it's a function of us, a forcing function. So we've had to adapt our behavior to the technology around us, and the technology around us is one of click, type, swipe, and screens. So what would be a way for us to get rid of that and actually to have a more natural way to communicate? So yeah, I agree with Stuart that there could be situations where you might feel that there's privacy and you wouldn't want to actually say something out loud. But I think in most situations, to speak something is a more natural way to do it, and less intrusive to you and the people around you.
All right, thank you, Stuart. Yeah, guys, I want to remind you that please ask your questions right here. I'm gonna show them on the screen and ask Simon. Thank you for watching. I see people joining. We have Simon Dunlop here in my virtual studio, and this is a badass show. So next questions I usually, so they are under numbers. So we'll ask you to choose number from 1 to 7, because 7 is my lucky number. So we're gonna have a conversation, like more unstructured conversation and more probably vulnerable. Please choose the number from 1 to 7.
Let's do it. 1.
1. During your career, what bumps did you have on the road, and what advice can you give to others to avoid them?
Oh man, Victoria, so many bumps. Yeah, I mean,
maybe something you remember.
Yeah, I mean, well, running out of money when you're a startup is always a difficult one.
Oh yeah. I
know that. You know that feeling where you burn through your savings, but you believe in the project.
Right.
And you just got to keep it. You got to keep it going. So I think there's a lesson in that, which is as long as you keep a business alive, you can do something with it. The moment that you shut the doors on it, it's dead, and that's the end. So if you keep a team together, no matter whether it's a reduced team, just a couple of people coming in and cranking away on something, you can cook up something interesting out of that, even if it means completely pivoting into something new. But so I think it's hard not to talk in cliches when you talk about startups, but it's the old adage of just like, just never give up. Just be like this dogged, ruthlessly determined person who can just push through the really bad times and the tough times. Because I just don't know, I know so many entrepreneurs, and I don't think I know any of them that haven't been through these, periods of real. I guess it exists. I guess like the overnight instant success exists, but I think it's like it's truly rare. And I certainly, the entrepreneurs that I know, have all had to push through really, really tough times, and I think it's been extremely difficult. The great thing is that that there are just, the network of entrepreneurs has just got so much bigger, and the barriers to becoming an entrepreneur are so much lower, that there's just a lot more resources for finding support, and again, finding your tribe to kind of get you through those tough patches.
Yeah, the thing is, all the internet is shouting, you can be an entrepreneur and we are going to teach you how. But it's clear by now that not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, or it's maybe not just the purpose. You can be a freelancer, you can be a remote worker today. And what will you tell to those people who are like, okay, I'm going to be successful anyway, like I don't know anything. Like, does everybody have to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I think also that no. Well, not everybody has to be an entrepreneur, depending on how you define it. But I think everybody can be entrepreneurial, right? And entrepreneurial can mean, well, I'm going to bring a sense of entrepreneurial spirit into whatever I'm doing, whether I'm a freelancer, whether I'm, working like, whether I'm 5 years into working a job, and bringing in that sense of entrepreneurism into what you're doing. Everybody can do that. And I think also some of the rules that some of the rules for success as an entrepreneur are very applicable to anybody, such as iteration. Not just being content or like satisfied with exactly where you've got to, but sort of continuing to push through and iterate and learn. But actually, having said that, yesterday, so just 2 days ago, I was driving with my father through the countryside here in Cyprus in a little buggy. So we rented a buggy and we went up into the countryside and like through the mountains in this beautiful nature reserve. And we stopped just by a herd of sheep. And there was a goat herd there who had like this amazing like hipster beard. I mean, it was just like he was the original hipster. He had like this, beard and like a checked shirt. And, I took a photo of him and had it, and I couldn't speak with him. He didn't speak any English, but and he's not iterating. I don't think he's iterating. I think like, he's doing the same thing he's been doing for the last 20 years, chilling under a tree with a bunch of goats. And he's pretty happy. I don't think he needs to be entrepreneurial. I think he's just doing just
fine.
Yeah. He's doing just great.
All right, moving on from 2 to 7.
Okay, let's go the other end. We'll go to your lucky number 7.
Okay. What is the future for you? What do you think is the future in technology?
Oh, the future in technology. Yeah, the future in technology. Well, again, like we've been talking about it a bit, but this sense of barriers dissolving, and I get very excited around that, and I see that happening in voice, but I see it happening in other areas too. And I think that perhaps if we get it right, then perhaps we can, return a sense of freedom to the internet, which I think has been really in danger of ossifying. So yeah, so I see. I'm an optimist by nature, and I'm optimistic about interfaces becoming more humanistic, about internet and communication becoming more natural, and about us overcoming some of these very very real sort of barriers that have been put up around us in digital worlds at the moment. And that's not an easy thing, and that requires determination and activism. But yeah, so I'm remaining optimism. I'm a techno optimist, not a techno pessimist.
Yeah, but if everybody will work on their optimism, I think it would be better, because some people are actually afraid of AI and of this techno progress and developing of technologies. What do you think about that? The fear of everything's gonna be tech, and we are gonna just dive in some crazy place on Earth.
Yes. Yeah, Victoria. I think that technology is what you make of it, and I think the power that we have with technology now allows us to do some very beautiful things. And I'm a believer in human nature, and I think that notwithstanding the dark clouds circling around us in every part of the world, right? So
Yeah.
There's not really a continent or a country you can think of that doesn't have some very real challenges today. But this is technology is hopefully reflects the spirit of people that are using it. And I think that one of the drivers that gives me optimism is that every generation that comes through is much more fluent with technology than the generation before. So if I look at my 8-year-old daughter, she is far more tech fluent than I am, and she's certainly an optimist. She loves nature, and she's very creative and artistic. So I think in the right hands of young people, younger than me certainly, who have a sense of nature, art, creativity, and optimism. I'm hopeful that technology can be used to bring about a change for good.
Nice. Next number, 2, 3, 5, or 6?
Wow, 7 questions. Okay, let's go with 5.
5. What do you think is the purpose of your life?
Oh, the purpose of my life. Yeah, it's been a while since I asked myself that question. No, the purpose of my life is to try to make a difference, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to live my life a little bit more in the now these days, and trying to be more, to do some practices that force me not to be on hyperdrive towards the next thing. So yeah, the purpose of my life is to be more present with the people that I love around me, and to try to make a difference to them, and hopefully maybe to even some more people than just those immediately near to me.
The world.
Yeah, well, the world is a big place, but the cool thing about building beautiful products is that you can actually make a difference to a few of those people that are in the world.
Yeah, and the impact.
Yeah.
Next.
Let's go with 2.
What is success for you?
Success is success. I measure success in sort of small increments. So success is when somebody sends you a message that the product that you've built, they're enjoying, and that for me is that gives me a little dopamine kick, and feels like success. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think that's an immediate measure of success, that somebody else has given some really positive feedback around something that you've built or helped to build.
Yeah, but you mean if it's working and if it's like already in the world and making its impact?
Yeah, that's right.
Because you can build and it's somewhere there. order.
That's not success.
Right, definitely.
Not success.
3 or
3.
6.
Let's go with 3.
Okay, what are you currently improving at yourself?
I am improving. I'm getting better at. I'm trying to practice radical honesty, and that I'm getting better at doing. It's a really difficult thing to do.
And how do you work on it?
It's you have to audit your, you have to audit yourself constantly, because you fall into habits where you're not being honest, and you kid yourself that by being less than honest, you're not. It's going to be more convenient, or it's easier for people around you, or so. Yeah, so I'm trying to practice radical honesty in my life, and I will, even if I find that I've actually done something which is not correct and on that path, I will go back and try to correct it. It's a process. It's not like that.
Yeah, because I know exactly what you're saying, because I do the same, and it saves so much time to when you start being honest with yourself. It starts inside, and then you just can't be not honest to the people around you, and it just saves time from all this like drama and pressure inside, like I did something wrong. And just you say what you think and you're moving on, and usually it's easier to resolve any issue. Or
Yeah, I agree with you, and I agree with you completely. And I think also it's a very good way of breaking like artificial constructs that you build for yourself, because we all live. I mean, we live in a construct which is self-made. But if you practice real honesty, then those tend to dissolve, and you may get down to some base level of reality, which is less of an artifice. Yeah, but that's right. But I think we both agree that's not an easy. That's not an easy.
Yeah. It's not easy to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. 6.
So many questions, Victoria.
Oh, you know what? I already asked you this question about entrepreneurship, and that not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. So are you tired of me?
This is a
sorry.
This is a pleasure.
Okay. The last question is,
sure.
What will you personally do to make you kind of said that already, to make this world as a better place using the technology? Well, I guess you're working on it in your company, and you will use the voice.
Well, that's a good technology, and it's a good company, and it can do things which are going to be useful for people. But the one I think, which is what we do with Bookmate, which we haven't spoken about so much, but is a business that I founded 10 years ago now, and which is a really wonderful product and a really wonderful company, where we have 123 people working, all of them, like all of us, deeply passionate about what we're doing, and building a product that will and does make a difference to people's lives all over the world. And we have millions of readers and millions of users that use Bookmate every day and find and connect with incredible authors, and discover stories that I think without Bookmate they never would have discovered. So that is truly a product which is a thing of a remarkable thing that has been brought into existence by a lot of love and passion, and focus on just building a very good user interface and user experience, and also really thinking about what it means what a story is, what the nature of a story is. How do you find amidst like all the millions of stories that are out there, how do you find a story that's going to resonate with you and connect today when you say, hey, I'm not going to go and look at Facebook, but I'm actually going to read a book or listen to a story. So that's something which, in a very in its own way, is touching a lot of lives around the world, and it's a product which everybody who's involved with is deeply proud of, and is and is growing and gaining in popularity, and still has a lot of interesting tricks to reveal to the world.
Awesome. I will check it out right now after the interview. Thank you so much, Simon, for being here today, for spending time with me, for being radically honest.
Thanks, Victoria.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, that was a great pleasure. I hope to meet you one time in real life when all of this blows over. Bye-bye.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
And you guys, I thank you too for being here with us today and listening for this to this honest conversation with Simon. And also, again, I want to invite you to a well-being conference that will gonna happen online. It calls Future of Wellness. You can go to futureofwellness.online and see the agenda and see what big names are gonna speak at that conference, and you surely don't want to miss that. Thank you very much. It was better show, and hopefully I will see you next Tuesday. Have a nice day, and don't forget, don't be a dick.